Hello everyone and welcome. My name is Erin Matthews and I'm an advanced nurse practitioner in ADHD with Louth CAMHS. Some of you may already know me through your child's journey in CAMHS, while others may be meeting me for the first time through this online series. Wherever you're joining from, you're very welcome. I've created this set of pre-recorded sessions to give parents and caregivers clear, practical and reliable information about ADHD, what it is, how it affects daily life, and what supports can make a real difference for children and young people. ADHD can sometimes feel confusing or overwhelming, especially with so much information available online. My aim here is to break things down into straightforward, evidence-based explanations. I want each session to leave you feeling more confident, more informed, and better equipped to support your child. Whether your child has recently been diagnosed, you're still waiting for assessment, or you're simply looking to understand ADHD more deeply, this series is designed to meet you where you are. We'll explore what ADHD really means, discuss approaches that help, and look at how we can work together to support children in a way that builds on their strengths. Thank you for taking the time to watch this series. I hope you find it reassuring, practical, and empowering. Let's get started. Here's what we'll cover today. We'll start with what ADHD actually is, not just the textbook definition, but what it looks like in real life. We'll look at the different types of ADHD because it doesn't show up the same way for every child. Then we'll dive into the science. What's going on in the brain that makes ADHD unique? We'll tackle some common myths and misconceptions that can cause frustration for both parents and children. We'll talk about how ADHD affects your child's school life, home life, and relationships. And finally, we'll look at co-occurring conditions, because ADHD often comes with additional challenges that need attention. By the end of this session, my goal is that you'll not only have more knowledge, but also more compassion for your child and for yourself as a parent. Many parents tell me that they feel confused or even blamed when it comes to ADHD. Today, my goal is to give you clarity and confidence. For example, one parent I worked with said that once she understood ADHD wasn't about bad behaviour, she started responding with strategies instead of frustration, and it changed everything at home. Approach this session with an open mind. ADHD is often misunderstood, so today we're going to challenge some assumptions and replace them with facts and tools. ADHD stands for Attention Deficit Hyperactivity Disorder, but that name doesn't capture the full picture. It's a neurodevelopmental condition, meaning it affects how the brain grows and functions. Here's what it often looks like. In attention, your child may seem like they're not listening, but the truth is their brain has trouble filtering distractions. It's like having 20 tabs open on a computer at once, with music playing in the background. Hyperactivity, some children are constantly on the move. They wiggle, fidget, and seem like they have an endless supply of energy. Impulsivity, this is acting before thinking. They might blurt out answers, interrupt conversations, or make decisions without considering the consequences. The key here is understanding that these behaviours aren't simply a choice or lack of discipline, they're symptoms of how the ADHD brain works. Imagine trying to read a book while someone flips through the TV channels every 5 seconds. That's what inattention can feel like for a child with ADHD. Hyperactivity can be like having a motor that you can't turn off, and impulsivity is like pressing send on a message before you've read it through. If your child struggles to focus, try giving instructions one at a time instead of all at once. Use visual checklists. Children with ADHD often do better when they can see what's expected. Let's take a look inside the brain. One big factor is dopamine, a chemical that helps regulate motivation, reward, and focus. Children with ADHD often have lower dopamine levels or differences in how their brain uses it. That means tasks like homework, which aren't immediately rewarding, feel much harder to stay engaged with. Then there's executive functioning, the brain's management system. This includes planning, time management, working memory, and organisation. When executive function is weak, everyday tasks like getting ready for school or remembering instructions can be a real challenge. Finally, genetics play a major role. ADHD often runs in families. If you see similar traits in parents, siblings, or relatives, it's not unusual. It's part of the neurobiology of ADHD. One mother I spoke with was relieved to learn that there's a neurological reason that her child zones out during homework. She said, "I thought he just didn't care," but understanding dopamine and executive functioning differences helped her to see that he needed support and not scolding. Remember, ADHD behaviours are brain-based, not character flaws. Break big tasks into smaller steps. This can help children with weak executive functioning feel less overwhelmed. There are 3 main types of ADHD, and understanding them helps us support children better. Predominantly an attentive type. This child may seem daydreamy, forgetful, or disorganised. They're often the ones that teachers might say, they're so bright, but they just don't finish their work. Predominantly hyperactive impulsive, this is the child who is constantly on the go, talks a mile a minute and may act without thinking. Combined type, the most common type, where children show both inattention and hyperactivity and impulsivity. Knowing the type helps with treatment choices, classroom strategies, and even how we talk to our children about their challenges. There's a lot of misinformation out there about ADHD, so let's clear some of it up. Myth 1. ADHD is just an excuse for bad behaviour. The reality, ADHD explains behaviour, but it doesn't excuse it. Understanding this condition helps us to create boundaries and teach skills instead of just punishing mistakes. Myth 2. Children with ADHD are lazy or disobedient. Reality, these kids often work twice as hard to meet expectations, but face neurological barriers that most of us don't see. Myth 3. ADHD is caused by bad parenting. The reality is that parenting styles don't cause ADHD. That said, the right parenting strategies can help for these children to thrive despite it. Myth 4. Children outgrow ADHD. The reality is that symptoms often change as children grow, but for many, ADHD persists into adulthood. They just learn to manage it better with the right support. ADHD isn't just about schoolwork. It affects all areas of life. In school, children may struggle to stay seated, follow multi-step instructions, or hand in work on time. This can be misinterpreted as defiance when it's really a skill deficit. At home, getting ready for school might feel like a battlefield every morning. Chores often go half done, not out of defiance, but because staying on task is tough. Socially, impulsivity can lead to interrupting, blurting things out, or overreacting emotionally, which can strain friendships. When we understand these challenges, we can respond with support rather than frustration. Sometimes children with ADHD might spend an hour getting ready for bed, but come downstairs in a superhero costume instead of their pajamas. At school, they might get in trouble for not listening, even though their brain is genuinely struggling to filter distractions. Use timers for transitions. For example, in 5 minutes it's bedtime. Create routines so tasks happen in the same order each day. Predictability reduces stress. ADHD often comes bundled with other challenges, for example, anxiety. Children might worry about falling behind or getting in trouble because of their symptoms. Depression, constant criticism, or social rejection can take a toll on self-esteem. Learning disabilities. ADHD can mask or mimic conditions like dyslexia and dysgraphia. Oppositional defiant disorder. Frustration with constant failure can sometimes come out as anger or defiance. And autism. There's an overlap in symptoms, so careful assessment is key. When we address these co-occurring conditions, we can create a much more effective support plan for the child. Emotional outbursts are common with ADHD. Imagine feeling emotions at full volume all the time. That's what many children with ADHD experience. Some strategies that help include teaching calming techniques like deep breathing or mindfulness exercises. Visual supports, using timers, charts, or cues so children know what's coming next, to reduce emotional surprises. Emotion coaching, helping them name their feelings and problem solve instead of punishing meltdowns. The goal isn't to eliminate big feelings, but to help children to learn how to manage them in healthy ways. So here's what we learned today. ADHD is a real brain-based condition, not a matter of willpower or parenting. There are different types, and each child's experience is unique. Co-occurring conditions are common and need to be understood for the best support. Emotional regulation is often one of the hardest parts of ADHD for families. Next time, we'll move from understanding ADHD to practical strategies, tools you can use at home, ways to work with schools, and how to support your child socially and emotionally. Thank you for listening.